We're talking about recording and like MIDI in Ableton Live, and I'm assuming that you remember some of the MIDI that we talked about before. So I'm not going to really do a deep explanation on what is quantizing. I'm not going to do a deep explanation on velocity, stuff like that. I'm going to assume that you know what velocity is, what quantizing is, stuff like that. And we're going to really dive into how to do that stuff and how to operate all of that inside of Ableton Live. So if you don't remember any of that stuff, later on you may want to go back and rewatch the basics of MIDI with Pro Tools, because that kind of explains about the basics of MIDI and everything like that. So super fun lesson today. It's one of my more favorites. I really enjoy this kind of lesson, this kind of stuff. So we're talking about Ableton Live MIDI. So first of all, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go into my session that I've got. And remember, we talked about setting up some places and stuff yesterday. So I've got some like loop libraries and things like that over here on my left-hand side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in a couple of audio loops, kind of like what we did yesterday. Let's go into my sample magic and let's see here. Let's do like a kind of a housey beat. We'll do something around 115 today. And let's go into, I don't know, main room deep house. And we'll go in here and we'll get some, let's get some drum loops. What do we got in here? Wait, what's in here? Drum loops, inspiration hits, synth and music loops, effects loops. Maybe not that one then. Let's go to, what's an analog house? Let's see here. Oh, okay, some percussion loops. Hat and shaker loops, that's what I want. So we're gonna go in through here. And we'll just grab a basic simple one here. And I'm going to go ahead and change this here to complex. And I'll explain what all this is on Monday. We're going to talk about elastic audio. We're going to talk about warp modes and all that stuff on Monday. So don't worry, it's coming. But in the meantime, today today, you're going to see me messing around with some of the warps and stuff like that. Just kind of go with it. Don't worry about it too much. But we're going to start in here with this one here. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit here. And I'm going to pull this down so we can see a little bit more of the screen. If you notice, what I can do is I can mouse over this part here and I can make it bigger or smaller right there. So I'm just going to make it nice and small so I can see what's going on my screen. And we're going to go over here to my MIDI track. I'm going to go ahead and stop that for a second. And in here, I'm going to pull in an instrument. Now, I can grab my instruments from a few different places over here in my browser. First of all, if I want like a sound, like I want a piano sound, or I want like a marimba sound, or I want like a string sound, I can grab that over here in sounds. This is the type of sound. So if I wanted like a brass sound, I can go in here to my brass, and it's just got a whole bunch of stuff in here. These are all presets. If I wanted like a piano, I could go in here and get like a piano. And if I click on it, it's gonna play me a note from that. So I can hear immediately what it's going to sound like. And these are all sounds that come with Ableton Live Suite. If you get the Live Suite, these are sounds that come with it. I'm not sure if these come with the regular version of Ableton Live, like how many of them come with the regular version of Ableton Live or not, but I know they do come with Live Suite. And I know there's quite a few that do come with the regular version of Ableton Live. So that's, you got a lot of stuff to play with if you buy Ableton. So that's in here. Now, I want to start with some drums though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my drums over here. And if you click on drums, first of all, up top, you have all your drum hits. These are all drum samples that come with Ableton Live. And then here you've got a blank drum rack, just an empty device. And then down here, you have all of your different, I'm going to turn up my Audition a little bit more. And I can just like use my cursor, my arrow keys to kind of go through this. I kind of like that one right there. That's kind of cool, but it's an auto beat one. Auto beat actually automatically plays. I'm not a huge fan of the auto beat stuff because it automatically plays. Maybe I just haven't used it enough, but what I'll end up doing, okay, I like this one here. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to drag it into my track here. And now that it's in my track, it automatically pulls up an instrument rack for me. This is a drum rack here. And we're going to talk about this drum rack in the later half of the lesson today. But that's what it's doing. It's pulling up a drum rack for me. And you can see here, this is live 11. If you're joining me from using live 10 or live 9 or something like that, you're going to see a few new things here, which we will get to and talk about that. There's some really cool stuff going on in here that's new for live 11. But just real quick, all of my samples just live right here. If I play my keyboard here, I can play all these right here. Cool. And that's all I do. So if I hit play, we can hear my little loop that's going on here. I can turn on my metronome up here. I can control the volume of my metronome, the level right here, with my audition level as well. So I'm just going to leave that up because I want to hear the audition stuff a little bit clearly later. And that's... Okay, so what I'm going to do is I just got a couple notes that I want to play here. I just found them on my keyboard. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit this record button right here. And it's going to start recording into this clip slot right here. And when I'm done with my little loop, I'm going to hit this record button again, and it's going to turn into a play, and it's going to start looping it. Watch this. 2, 3, 4. And you saw me hit the play button again, and it started looping it around. Let me do that one more time and show you right here. 3, 4, 1. And I'm just going ahead and recording stuff in on the fly without stopping anything. I'll do it one more time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. And you can hear it's a little bit off. So I can double click it to open up the clip, and I just hit Command U and it quantizes it for me. It's going to quantize it automatically to the 16th notes because the 16th notes is what I quantized last. And I can go over here to click on this one and just click down here and hit Command U, and same thing with this one here. Where's all my notes? There they are. Just click somewhere in here and hit Command U, and it automatically quantizes them. And now I can go back and play any of them. Turn off my metronome here. And I can play this one right here. And these are all the 3 MIDI loops that I just recorded, are right here. And so if I want to, I can see how long each one is. We can see this one is 8 beats long. See that 8 right there? It's 8 beats long. This number here is how many times it is looped. So you can see this hi-hat one over here. It's 8 beats long. It's looped 37 times so far. If I hit play, it's going to go back to a 1. So Ola Baby says, hey Tony, I noticed that the volume for the metronome controls the volume for the samples as well when you're previewing. Is there a way to separate the two? Unfortunately, there's not a way to separate the two, but it's not really that big a deal. When you're first setting up your track, if you don't like the metronome, if you don't want to worry about the volume of the metronome, just grab a loop and just have it come in there. Like what some people do is they just have their default session just starts off with like a little shaker loop thing, something super non-obtrusive, something they may take out later or whatever, and they can use that because we can see with just my little hi-hat loop that I've got here, I can slow this down or speed it up, and it works fine. I could even move this so it's on the downbeat instead of the offbeat here, but for me, that's a little bit weird because I'm just like you. To me, that sounds like an offbeat right now. But you can do that and have that in there, and then you don't have to worry about like what your metronome is doing, something like that. So that's what I would do if it's really a big deal. But honestly, it's not something that gets in the way that much. If I'm auditioning stuff, I'll just turn it up, or a lot of times what I'll even do is I'll just like drag a whole bunch of loops into Ableton into one of my channels, and I'll just like audition stuff inside of Live itself without dealing with it over here on the left-hand side of my browser. So that's the answer to your question right there. So here, let me go ahead and put this back to 115. And one other thing I just want to like point out is something we covered yesterday, is that none of these, they all stop the previously playing clip. So when you're auditioning your MIDI clips that you just played, it's only going to play one at a time. Right, and I'll play the next one here. Right? So it's only playing one at a time, very similar to what we talked about yesterday with our audio clips. It's the same thing. Audio or MIDI, it works basically the same way. So I have this in here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to record another one, but I'm just going to record a kick drum in here. Let me turn on my metronome here. There we go. Okay. You can hear it's a little bit off, so what I'll do is I'll go down here, I'll hit Command U. There we go. And we can also see down here in the bottom, my velocities are pretty much the same, but some of them were a little bit different because I was thinking about some other stuff. So what I'll do is they're all highlighted. I can just grab them all and drag them all down, or drag them all up. And when I drag them all up or down, what ends up happening is it kind of puts them all up to the top. It's because it's all relative, right? But they all kind of keep moving even when I hit that top. So it's a really easy way just to grab everything and move them all up or all down. All right, cool. So we've got that right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab a hi-hat. Let's grab this kit right here and just drag that in here. Oh, that's an auto kit. No, no. I do not want my auto kit. Okay, here, I'll use the C78 kit. I like the C78s. There we go. Okay. All right, so. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna go ahead and play in some 16th notes, and then we're gonna talk about one of the cool new features of Ableton Live, which is chance and probability. Okay, so I'm gonna switch my record enable over to the second track I just made, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to record in 16th notes. There we go. Just recorded that in, and you can see it actually, I took my time on the end here. Let me just put that, quantize them. And it's a 3-bar loop instead of a 2-bar loop. If I want to change the length of my loop, I just go over here on the left-hand side and see where it says length right here. Change that to 2. And it adjusted the length of the loop. So now it's just going to be a 2-bar loop. It's all just going to be 16th notes straight across. The other place where I can adjust the length of my loop is right here. So if I just wanted a 1-bar loop, I can just do that. And it's a 1-bar loop. And you can do any kind of length of loops. You can do, you could even do like 3/16ths, 1/16th, whatever. It's all gonna sound the same right now because I'm just dealing with straight 16th notes that aren't really changing in level. But what I'm gonna do down here is I'm going to adjust my chance right here. I'm gonna make this bigger, and let's just stop that for a second. And I'm gonna go ahead and solo this out. We can see down here is my chance. And what I can do is I can grab this and I can make it so some of them have, let's do the other one here. I'm gonna use my draw mode. Let me go ahead. And if I adjust my chance down here, that's interesting, it's grabbing both of them there. If I grab the one down here, if I move the chance around, you can see that it has a less likely probability of hitting. And the lower I drag it, the less likely it is to hit. And this is a really cool way that you can add some variety in to your tracks. So sometimes it'll hit, sometimes it won't hit. And what I'll do is I'll bring everything back over here. And I'll just go ahead and turn these down. Now, if I wanted to, the other thing I can do here, it's quite cool, is I can highlight some of these. I'm gonna hold down Shift. I'm gonna highlight some of these here. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit. And if I highlight these, and if I hold down my Command key, it's gonna adjust my velocity level to make it a little bit more realistic sounding. There we go. Cool. All right, so you can hear what that sounds like. You can see what that looks like. And if I want to hide the chants, I just click on this down here. And if I want to show my velocity, if I want to hide my velocity, I click on this one down here. And I can hide them both at the same time and show them both at the same time by clicking on this little arrow right here. And once again, this is all new for Live 11. So if you've been using Live 10 or you've been using Live 9 or whatever for a long time, then this is new for Live 11. Oh, thank you very much. Thanks. Gracias. So this is a new thing in this version of Live. If you've been using it before, then this is something you haven't really seen yet, which is it's a pretty cool new addition, this chance here. And you'll also notice that the way that Live looks at the velocities is a little bit different. You can see it's actually very similar to how Logic shows the velocities. Logic shows the velocities by showing like a little line and how long it is, and that's the same thing here. So we can see how long the notes are and also what velocity level they're at. And the chance is right here as well, so we can see the chance, how long the line is, and it's a little dotted line right here instead of a solid line. So that's a really quick little rundown of what's going on underneath there. I'm gonna go ahead and hide that for right now. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and put in an instrument that's like a synth or something. And I'm gonna go ahead and color this one orange because it's a drum. You know how I like to color my drums orange. And I'm gonna get rid of this one here. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new track. And let's go ahead and check out some of our instrument sounds in here. So once again, I can use my sounds up here. So if I want to grab some kind of a piano sound or something like that, let's see what our mellots sound like here. So you can see there's a lot of really cool sounds in here. Let's grab this Bell's mellow one here. I'm going to drag that onto the track like this. And once I drag it on, now I just hit the record enable button down at the bottom. Just play around and I can say, okay, cool, let's record that. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit my spacebar here, get everything playing, and when I'm ready, I'm gonna record it in like this. I'm just gonna hit this record button, just like I did with my drums, 3, 4. And if I double click this, I can see what I just played in. Hit Command U to quantize. And if I double click the name of the track, I can go in here and I can edit this instrument here. Although I'm not really sure. Let's see. There we go. Cool. Let's add another little bell line on top of that. Command Shift T. octave up on my keyboard. There we go. Double click that to open it up so we can see it. Go ahead and quantize those a little bit. Now, if I want to edit these notes that I've got in here, first of all, check this out. I can go ahead, let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger here so I can see more. I can just drag it up like this, and I'm going to go ahead and hide my browser for now so I'm not looking at the browser. And what I can do is I can go in here and see on the left-hand side of my screen right here, I can just click, and with this like magnifying glass here, I can click and drag it left and right to zoom in and out so I can see what my note names are. Or I can fold it down to just that note that I played. Or, and this is new for Live 11, is I can go over here on the left-hand side, and this is going to make a lot of y'all excited. I know, Elon, we've already talked about it. But I can go over here and I can click on the scale button here, and I can change my scale. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and look at these ones over here. I'm going to say, what notes am I playing here? Let's see here. I am playing a G, a C, and an A sharp, which is a B flat. So I'm guessing let's see. I mean, it's kind of in the key of G minor. So we'll just say it's G minor for now. I mean, whatever, we can change it later. So what I can do is I can click on this and I can click on scale here, and now it just shows me the keys, the notes that are in the key of G minor. In order to really make this work, you kind of either, like if you if you start playing first, you kind of have to know what you just played. Come on, puppy, come back over here. You can sit in the sun, but just sit over on this side so you're not like, sorry, let me just move the dog to a better position. She wants to sit in the sun, which is totally fine with me. But there we go. Here you go. There's your bed. Your bed is in the sun now. There you go. All right, babes. So we can get the scale going on here. And as I was saying before, like I already know some music theory. I'm not the best at music theory, but I'm good enough to kind of get by with music theory, so I can kind of see like, oh, what notes was I just playing if I just sit down and play. If you want to now, though, now I can keep all my clips in this key of G minor. And what I can do is if I shift click, if I hold down shift and click another clip, now it shows me both of my clips, and it shows me, okay, what's in the key of G minor, what's not in the key of G minor. So this D sharp is actually in the key of G minor. Yep, it is. Yep, cool. But yeah, there we go. So we got that there. Cool. And I can flip between my two tracks by clicking on this right up here. So if you see here, if I move up and down here, it shows me one is red, one is purple, and I can kind of click on them to select which one I'm actually using there. So that's how we can flip between them. And if I want to edit these, let's go ahead. I'm going to make this one here, this red one. I can also click on the track. If I click it again, though, it's going to select it. I'm going to duplicate this, and let's make it a 6-bar loop. Yeah, let's make it an 8-bar loop here. Let's go ahead and let's make it an 8-bar loop. So length is going to be 8. And I'm just going to go ahead in here and here, let's grab these. Whoops. Let's grab the 2 like this. Sweet. All right, so we have an 8-bar loop, and now I'm going to go ahead and move these around based on whatever my scale is. So I'm going to highlight these, and so I can see what's going on here with both of these. And you can see the one is looping here, and the other one is just kind of going over the top. So let's listen to them. Let's grab these here. And if I want to hear what I'm doing, see this? I can turn on this little headphone looking thing here. And I can click on these. I can say, okay, let's make that like that. So like this. Move that down. Here, let's listen. Okay. Cool. And let's move this up. Whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't want to grab all those notes. Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. Put that down there. There we go on the C. So, oh, I got all these notes here. Hold on. I grabbed too many. Up an octave, and the way you can put your notes up an octave is, hold on, I'm just going to click this one so I can get rid of the other one here. Double click it, click on one of these, and I'm just going to hold down shift and hit an up arrow key. There we go. That's why. Hold on a second. What happened? Why are you not in the same key? Sorry, I thought they were all in the same key. G minor, there we go. Okay, G minor. This one here. There we go. All right, there we go. Cool. Nice. All right, and that sounds pretty good. Okay, but it sounds kind of dry and boring right now. So let's go ahead and send this high bell here over to our reverb. And that's a little send right here. I'm going to turn that up. And let's change that reverb so it sounds a little bit more interesting. Go in here. Now with any of these, this works across all your devices. Any of your devices you want to change the preset on it, go ahead and click on this right here. And here, go ahead and grab the hall here, and let's just try some of these out. Let's go to Artificial Flutter. Double click on that. Okay, pretty cool. I'm just gonna mouse over these. That sounds cool. Yeah, turn it down a little bit. Turn down the send amount. Let's add a delay in here as well. To add a new return track, Command Option T, and it makes a return track here. And I can go into this return track and let's add in. Let's go ahead and use something from. Let's use a delay. And we'll go ahead and use, what a spectral time. Ooh, we'll have to mess with that one. Not today though. Let's go and use echo. Echo's dope, and we can go in here to ambient spaces, diffuse long cascades. Let's go ahead and drop that on here and go ahead and send it over. You can see when I made this new return track, it went ahead and made a new send for it as well. Elan says, how many sends per track can you have? And the answer is, what are you eating? The answer is my dog is eating this thing right here. The answer is, I think it's like 15 returns, because the way it works in Ableton Live is different from Pro Tools and Logic. In Pro Tools and Logic, you just have unlimited aux channels, and you can use the aux channels for whatever you want. But Ableton Live doesn't use aux channels. It doesn't have aux channels. The way you make for reverbs and delays is you have to make return tracks. And I'm pretty sure the max is like 15 or 14, and that's all of them can send to any one of those. It's usually enough for even for like big sessions and stuff like that. If you need more like delays or things like that, there are ways to do it, but it's a little bit more kind of convoluted and not quite as easy to use. But I don't think I've ever run out. I only know the maximum because I went on a mission to find out what the maximum is. So yeah, all the sends pile up in this box. Yes, and that's why. So here, I'll show you. I'll just make a bunch of these. They all just kind of pile up, right? So how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you can have 12. They all just pile up in this box, but that's why you want to go ahead and be able to hide that box and show the box using Command Option S. Stop eating the plants. My dog is eating the plants. Come here. Come over here. Here. Eat this. Come here. Over here. Have a piece of chicken. Yeah, you like chicken. So Command Option S is the way you hide that stuff. And then if you want to delete these, you can just go over here and shift click them and then hit delete, and they just go away. So there you go. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not super, I mean, you don't really need to use 12. I have friends who use about like 8 or so, because they're using them for different things. And some of them I use the same way. Some of them I don't use the same way. There's other ways to accomplish the same thing, because there are different ways to do different things with Ableton Live. And the thing is, with Ableton Live, you kind of, if you're used to Pro Tools or you're used to Logic, you kind of need to think outside of the box a little bit for certain things. It doesn't mean that it's harder, it's just a little bit different. And that's what I've said before, is that Pro Tools and Logic are like potatoes and potatoes. It's the same thing. They just are slightly different. But Ableton Live is oranges. It's actually pretty different. It's still something you can eat. It's still like round, but it's not in the same food group. It's a very different type of food group. It's a very different like feeling in your mouth. And that's how Ableton Live is. Ableton Live is still a DAW. It still lets you make beats, but it's a very different way to make beats from Logic and Pro Tools. There's a lot of things that are very different with Ableton Live. All right, so we have this here. Let's go ahead and take this here. Let me go ahead and stop this track. If I want to stop anything, I just click on the stop button down here, and it will stop what's playing up there. And I'm going to go ahead and send this over to that reverb as well, but less. Just a little bit of that reverb in there. Cool. And we've got this here, and let's go ahead and play this one here. Nice. Change the color on that one. And let's go ahead and make a bass line. And let's go ahead and check out some sounds over here. Now, we talked about how to choose our sounds from saying like, oh, I want a bass sound. And also like, if I want a drum sound. But what if, my dog is eating my shoe. Sorry, hold on a second. What if I want a sound and I know that I want to use a certain instrument in here. I know that I want to use Wavetable, for example. Wavetable is the Wavetable synth that Ableton Live has. And it's a really, really powerful synthesizer. So let's say that I want to use Wavetable to make my sound with, or I want to, I want to find some sounds using Wavetable. So what I can do is I can click on instruments here, and with instruments, I can click on Wavetable, and here I can drop down my menu, and now it's going to give me the same kind of sounds categories, but all within Wavetable. So I go over here and I do this and I say, all right, we got this here. Let's go and grab a bass sound from in here. And now when I click on these, of course, it's going to go ahead and Audition them for me. I kind of like that bass organ, basic organ, but let's just see what else is in here. Complex grunge is pretty cool too. Contour bass is cool. Corrode bass, I like that one. Harmonic drone is nice. Let's hear corrode bass again. I like that one because it's already dark, but check out this complex. Yeah. This one here, I'm going to use this one here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put a filter on top of it. Where's my filters? I got my filters here, my auto filter, there we go. Drag that down there, and now with my filter on top of it, I can go ahead and play some sounds on my keyboard. Not that one. Let's go back over here, click on this. Sorry, I'm kind of like, got the, there we go. Okay, so that gets too bright for me, but what I'm gonna do is, first of all, let's turn some of these knobs here and see what's going on with the knobs. Yeah, that's pretty cool sounding. Here, pups, come on. You wanna go off the lap? Here. Chew on your chew toy, there we go. So I got, these are kind of cool sounding. But I can also further tailor that with my filter here. Nice. Now, what this does, and we're kind of getting into kind of sound designy type of stuff right now, but you know, this is really nice because if I have a sound that I like and I like the movement of the sound, but it just gets too bright, I can just throw another filter on top of it because we can see that my filter frequency is all the way down over here. This tear thing here probably kind of makes it a bit brighter, but I want it to be nice and dark, so I'll keep this frequency down here. And there we go. Now I've got a cool bass sound here. And that sounds pretty good. Now, you notice that I just played something, but I didn't actually record it. Well, check this out. This is something I mentioned yesterday, but we didn't get into it because we weren't talking about MIDI yet. What I can do is this little button right here. This little button is basically capture record. What is Ableton Live called? Oh, capture MIDI. Okay. In Logic, it's called capture record. In Ableton Live, it's called capture MIDI. This little button here is really cool because what it does is if I click it, now it just captured all that stuff I just played. So if I double click it now, I can look over here and I can say, okay, it's only showing me the last, it's a little bit off here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go over here and do this and let's see what we got. Yeah, so it captured my notes. It didn't capture them absolutely correctly. I'm just gonna drag it on because I know what my rhythm was that I played, like that, boom, boom, boom. Command U to, there we go. I'm just gonna adjust my loop points here. Make it an 8-bar loop. Position 1, like that. Wait, no, let's start this one at 1. Right click on it, say, hey, you are 1. There we go. Now position 1, 8 bars. Awesome. Oops. Let's zoom back out. Let's see what we got. Nice. Yeah, cool. So if I'm ever playing around with stuff, let's say I'm going in here and I don't have that bass line. Let's say I'm just kind of hitting play and I'm just going in here. remember what I just played and I wasn't recording it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this box here and it will show me everything I just played. Which is a pretty cool feature. And I can just go over here and I can say, all right, let's go back over to here and let's start it from like right here. Move this one over the start point here a little bit. It's kind of weird sounding because I think it started on the bar one, and you might have to go back and fiddle with it a little bit to make sure it's like right on and it's like right what you played, but at least you've got those ideas there. This is invaluable. Now here's another cool secret about this, and I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but this works even if you're not playing. So for example, if I've got my boom kit on over here and I'm like, let's see here, where's my notes? There we go. So if I go in here and I say, all right, right, I've done that. Now, if I hit this button here, it actually recorded everything I just did, and it also deduced the tempo for me, and it put them in pretty correct. And if I hit Command U in here, it'll go ahead and quantize it all. Monique says, can you show that box one more time? It's this box right here. Right here, it's this little one that's got like it's a box with like little holes in the sides. Yep. That is the MIDI, what do they call it? Capture MIDI. And it's really powerful in here. It also works like this in Logic as well. In Logic, they did update it so it also captures your tempo and everything, so you don't have to be playing. It used to be that you had to be playing the track, but right now we don't have to be playing the track anymore. You can just kind of be going with it and it will automatically work right. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and delete that though, because that's not really my point of everything right now. I just wanted to kind of show you all that. And in here, let's go ahead and let's play this one here. Let's play, this is my bass. And this one here is bass loop 1. This one here is bass loop 2. Did that answer your question, Monique? Just want to make sure. Let's go ahead and play everything with bass loop 2. So I'm just going to grab all these and drag them down like that and hit play over here on my my scene. Yeah, and I think this one here, yeah, let's change that to a C. Yeah, and just let it ride. Cool, awesome. We're gonna move these over a little bit with these notes here. I'm gonna move them over. I can use my arrow keys to move them over. And if you want to adjust the length of them, you can hold down Shift and arrow keys and adjust the length. Okay, cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag, I'm going to hold down Option and drag these on over my hand like this. And cool. And I'm going to go ahead and quantize everything. There we go. And I'm going to change this note. Excuse me. Cool, and bum 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 bum. Let's see here. I'm just checking this. I can actually, what I can do is I can just play that in again. But yeah, that's it. I think that's right. Make all these legato. And if I wanted to make these legato, which means they just connect together, I just hold them and I just select them, hit legato here, and it legatos them out. What I'm going to do is make this one like this. I'm not sure if these are the right links or not, but you know what? They sound fine to me. So that one seems kind of weird. Here. Okay, and here I'm just gonna get rid of these. Over. Awesome. Make everything legato. There we go. And I'll adjust the... There we go. Cool. So it's not quite so syncopated over here. Make it a little bit more straight. Awesome. Okay. So we've got this bass line in here. Let's do a really quick thing real quick and just show you how to use sidechain compression in Ableton Live. I showed you how to use sidechain compression last week in Pro Tools. So what we're going to do is sidechain compression. I'm just going to double click on here. What we're going to do is we're going to put a compressor on here, and it could be any of the compressors that come with Ableton Live, but what we'll use is we'll go into our effects, audio effects, go to dynamics here, and in here I'm going to use my compressor, the regular compressor, drop it on here on the end here in front of the utility, and I'm going to click on this little yellow button, and on the yellow button I'm going to turn on my side chain here, and I'm going to grab it from my boom kit, which is my kick drum, and that's all we have to do. So then I just have to adjust my levels here. We can see the compressors coming in here. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust my threshold. And we can see it's getting it out of the way. There we go. Let me just untangle my dog. All you have to do to sidechain stuff in Ableton Live, you just have to choose, you just have to put the compressor on there and then decide where you're going to sidechain it from. All right, and then we can adjust ratio and attack and stuff like that if we want, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to keep on going here. So let's hear what that sounds like with our bells here. Is really resonating with this here, like way too much. Huh, all right. That's funny, wow. That's a big resonant here. Let's see here, is that because of this? I don't know which one that's because of, but whatever, we'll just leave it there. I'm just gonna turn these down a little bit here. So that's how we can basically use MIDI in here. So let's go back and kind of dissect that a little bit more and look at the notes here. So the notes, global quantize, all right? So global quantize is, hold on a second. Pups, hey, come on, over here. Why don't you just chill? Chill on my lap. You're like all over the place this morning. So global quantize determines when the clips will launch, stop, or record, okay? And this is quite important because we need these clips to be able to play, stop, record, all this stuff, especially with MIDI and with audio. I showed you this kind of yesterday. This is a little bit of review, except now we're applying this global quantize term to things. So basically what's happening is the global quantize is right up here where it says 1 bar. whatever this says 1 bar, that's how things are going to stop, play, record, all that stuff. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this, and let's do a save as 02, and let's do another recording session here. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to use all these same sounds. We're just going to go ahead and get rid of all these. Oops. All these notes in here. Here, let's do that. And so we still got this offbeat hi-hat thing going on, but we're going to replay all this other stuff in here. So the global quantize, it determines when clips will launch, stop, record, and it can also it can be changed to almost any number, but 1 bar is recommended. It's what I highly recommend that you kind of work with. And clips can have their own individual launch settings, which I'm going to tell you about in just a moment. But first of all, if I want to go ahead and record something, and I've got this offbeat hi-hat here. Let's go ahead and put this back in the beginning. Turn on my metronome. There we go. And now with this one here, right, I can go ahead and record that in like that. 1, 2, 3, go. You tell me record it in. Now, if I want these to automatically quantize, that's under here, under record quantize, menu, edit, record quantization. So I can have it so it quantizes as I record. That's up here under edit, record quantization. And we'll just set that for the 16th notes. There we go. And so anything I play will automatically be recorded into the 16th notes. So got this right here. Go ahead and hit quantize a few times. We'll lock it in. There we go. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and record some stuff over here from this little kit right here. So I'm going to go ahead and find my sounds. All right, cool. All right. So I'm going to use this click sound. Yeah, I like that one best. So I'm going to record that in. 1, 2, 3, go. Awesome. Now, if I wanted to record over that, we can get into our MIDI overdub. That's right here. To overdub MIDI into a playing clip, hit the session record button. It's in the transport area up top. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to toggle this on and off as I'm going to record stuff in properly. So I just go up here. It's this button right here is my session record overdub button. So if I hit this, let's say I want to record this into the same track, I just click on this one here, and now you can see this one is now a record enabled. Oh, that was the wrong sound, so I'm going to hit Command Z. Turn this off so I can find the right sound. There we go. There we go. Cool. Awesome. Turn this off here. Sweet. So the global quantize, it's what's making them start and stop on the right place. But if I have like a, let's say I have like a vocal sample and I wanted to mess around with that vocal sample. It's so good. Let's grab a vocal sample in here from Sample Phonics, and let's go up to Angie Brown vocals and go in here to spoken. All right, so here we'll take that, and what did that just do? Undo, Command Z. I put it in place of my drum kit. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this over here into this one here. And what I can do, every time I hit play here, it's going to play it, but it will only play it on the downbeat. Right? So if I wanted this to play more often, if I wanted to go like, all right, like that, or something like that with eighth notes, I can change the MIDI for this. I can change the quantize for this clip, and I can do it either in the global quantize, which I don't recommend, which would be right here, eighth notes, or I can do it in the clip quantize down here, and that is by clicking on this little arrow key, and it pulls up our quantize down here. And this is new for Live 11. If you're used to Live 10 or Live 9, it's going to look very different. But in here, I've got this quantize here, and now I can go ahead and play it more often. Like that. So I can do that kind of stuff. Now, that's pretty cool. If I wanted to play it like that, really, I would just throw it into a sampler, and we'll talk about samplers and stuff like that later on. But if you wanted to have it on here, you can do that. And you can also do some other cool stuff with this. For example, launch modes. We have trigger, gate, toggle, and repeat. So for example, if I have it on repeat, now if I hold it down with my mouse, it's going to go ahead and repeat it every eighth note. It's going to repeat the start point every eighth note in here. So that's what these kinds of things down here do. This launch mode here. Repeat trigger is the default. It just like plays it. Toggle will keep looping it. It'll keep playing it until you hit it again. So in this case here, let's turn the loop on. Loop, 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 loop. Where are you? Loop, there you are. So let's set a loop for one beat. There we go. And we can, I don't have warp turned on, that's why. Okay, so I can turn my loop on here. Let's set this for 1. There we go. And now what I can do is if I hit it, if I'm holding it down, sorry, the gate will hold it down. It'll keep playing it if I hold it down. And then the toggle will go ahead and play it until I click it again. Right, so now these settings in here, I don't really use these so much. There are some really cool things you can do with them. I don't really do them. If you want to know more about it, we can talk more about it. They're a little bit more advanced usages of these like actions and these launch modes and stuff like that. If I wanted to get funky with my samples, I throw them into a sampler like Simpler or Contact from Native Instruments. I don't really do it like this in Ableton Live, but you can do it like this. And this is kinds of opens up an avenue of thought for you, because Ableton Live, really what we're dealing with here is a sampling instrument DAW. It's like a sampling instrument DAW, in that it is a DAW, but it's like an instrument that you can kind of play, especially in this view over here. You can do some really cool stuff with this, and you're still in this kind of like performance mode, but it's also a DAW. So if I wanted to perform this out, remember what we did yesterday. If I want to perform this out, I can go ahead and I can hit the record button up here, and it's going to record. Hold on, let me show you this view here. View, overview. So it'll show me what I'm actually recording. So I'm going to record into it. And you can see it's up here in the upper left-hand corner. It's showing me what I'm actually recording in here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of play this all right sample in here like this. And if I flip over to my arrangement window, you can see all the stuff I just did is in here. I kind of performed it in, and it recorded it into my arrangement view here. So like I said, it's kind of like a performance DAW. It's not like Pro Tools. It's not like Logic. It's like its own thing. Although Logic does have clips now, they kind of grabbed this idea from Ableton Live to make this kind of performance view. So Logic is getting a little bit closer to Ableton Live, but there's still a ways to go. So we can perform the stuff in. So that's a pretty cool way to utilize this. Again, I just tend to use this in samplers instead of just doing it right here. But here it is for you. All right, I'm gonna put this back to trigger mode, and let's go ahead and delete the sample. I don't really need that. So that's all just talking about our global quantize and our quantize here. Global quantize is just what everything is gonna adhere to. If you wanna change the quantize for a clip, you can set it down in the lower left-hand corner. Recording MIDI clips, quantize 8th notes, 16th notes. We talked about that. Remember, for quantizing stuff, the same rules apply that I talked about before. If you're over 130 BPMs, then I recommend doing 8th notes. If you're under 130 BPMs, I recommend doing 16th notes. All right. Okay, so if I want to record a MIDI clip, here's step by step. Turn on the metronome, hit the spacebar to play. You should hear the click. Hit the record button in the empty clip slot to record. To start recording the MIDI clip. The clip will record indefinitely. Then while we're recording, the launch button will be red. When you're done recording, hit the launch button and the clip will begin looping at the next downbeat. A playing clip will have a green launch button. So this is all what I just did in the beginning. So for example, in the bells here, I turn on the record enable button. I go ahead and hit play. Let's make sure something's playing over here. There we go. And let's hear what this sounds like. Let's record that in. Nice. It's, for the most part, it's correct, but what I'm going to do here is a couple things. One, I'm going to change that velocity right there. Get rid of that bad note that's down here. I'm going to change this one to a G. There we go. Nice. Key of G minor, great. And so you can see it's green here because I hit that play button again and started playing back. Let's do one more time over here with this one here. Turn this one down. Oh, that's that one. Hold on, let's turn this one down. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and record this in. When I hit the button, it's gonna turn red. It's gonna start recording. When I hit the button again, it's gonna be green. Well, I'm not going to move around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record over this. I'm just going to record like a lower G in here. And we can see everything I just recorded in the second time around. It's because I had this little session record button on. That just like lets me overdub stuff into it. Now, usually you're going to use that for drums and stuff like that, but you can see you can use it with any instrument at all. And finally, let's record a bass in here using the same bass sound here. Let's see what we're working with here. Let's try that right there. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to hit record and go. Nice. And there, everything is in there. If I want to fold this down so I'm only seeing those notes, I can hit that fold button right there. And if I want to see these all stacked on top of each other, I just hold down Shift, and now I can see them all stacked on top of each other. I can, here, let me hide this over here on the left. We don't need to have all that open up. And in here, I can click on focus, and focus, what it does is, oh, that's okay, that's how you do that. All right, so sorry, I'm still a little bit new to Ableton Live 11. So focus, this focus button right here, it allows you to focus in on just that one thing, so you can't actually grab the other notes. There we go, that's what I was looking for earlier, the focus button there. Cool. So yeah, I actually really like that focus button. That's really nice. Okay, but if I don't want to focus it, I can click, turn it off, and I can see all of them kind of, and I can move around all of them. All right. That's not in the notes, by the way, because that stuff's new for Live 11. It's like brand new stuff. Okay, so if a clip has a green launch button, you won't record additional notes into it. This is great for auditioning sounds. And then when you push that overdub button, it'll turn red, and it means you are recording into it. Regular quantize. We talked about this a little bit just to go over it here in the notes. The quantize settings are Command-Shift-U. So if I ever get to something and I want to quantize it, let's go over here to my edit. Let's turn off my record quantization. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a new MIDI track. And we're going to grab some percussion-y sounds. Let's see here. Let's go in here to our drums, and let's see what we got down here under percussion stuff. Percussion. There we go. We'll grab that percussion spirit kit. Drag that in. Make sure the right note, there we go. Okay. Cool. So notice how it's not quantized anymore. Let me just go ahead and solo that out, turn the metronome on. It's pretty poorly played. So what I can do is, if I want to change my quantize settings, I hit Command-Shift-U. And now, in here, I can quantize it to different settings. And I can adjust the start of the note or the end of the note. Usually it's just the start. How much I want to quantize it here. I usually don't set that for 100. I usually set it for between 50 and 75%, somewhere in there. And then hit OK. And everything's going to move over. This one was wrong. And if I don't have it set to 100%, if I hit it again, it'll quantize everything over like that. If I hit Command-U. So when you want to make the setting, oh, Giro, if you hit the setting, if you want to change your settings, Command-Shift-U, and if you just want to use the same settings as before, Command-U, and it'll just use the same settings. Is there a Giro in here? Carl. No Giro, sorry. All right. And I'm not a huge fan of that, what I played anyway. Just get a little that every now and then, right, shall we? And how about some shakers? Yeah, let me do shakers. This will be a good thing to show you the next thing I want to show you. I'm just gonna record a bar of that. And what I'm going to do, you can see it's all over the place. I'm going to Command-U a few times. And I'm going to adjust the end points. There we go. So I just basically close the loop down by using the end points up top, up here. See that? There's my start point, my end point right there. So now I have a 1-bar loop. I'm going to adjust this one here. Get rid of this one here. And you can see how it's pretty bland and boring. Well, what I can do is I'm going to turn off the fold on this. And I'm going to say, all right, let's see. What is this one here? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and crop this sample, crop this loop here, this MIDI clip. So it's just the one thing here. And I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to here adjust this so it's only showing me my 16th notes. make them all legato, so it's just 16th notes here. And the way I adjusted it so it's just 16th notes, let's look in the notes over here. Where is it? Right over, where was it? Was it in here? Yeah. Adjusting the grid size here. Adaptive grid changes the size, that changes the grid based on your zoom level. And then you also have command 1 and 2 makes the grid smaller and bigger. Command 3 makes it a triplet grid. Command 4 turns the grid off, basically slip mode. And then command 5 switches between fixed and adaptive grid. So let's just take a look at those while we're editing this part right here. So you can see here all of my lines here. And if I use command 1 and 2, the lines get more lines or less lines. Command 2 makes less lines. Command 1 makes more lines. They call it a narrow grid or a wider grid. And if I wanted to be triplets, I command 3, and that gives me triplets. Or if I want to turn my grid off, I command 4. And now you can see they're there, but they're dotted, so they're kind of off. And if I take a note and I move it around, see it just slips around like that. And if I want to switch between adaptive grid and fixed grid, I can use command 5. And what that does is it means that no matter how far out I zoom, it's still going to stay 16th notes or in or out or whatever. It's still going to be 16th notes. If I turn that off, then it's going to change my grids depending on how far in I zoom. Now, how do we know what our grid is? Down here in the lower left-hand corner, it's got my grid right there, 1/16th note. Boom, there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all these, hold down Shift, and let's do, I'm going to grab these here. I'm going to turn these into, I'm going to go up one note. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to adjust my velocities on these. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mouse over each one, hold down Command, and just turn it down a little bit. And once I adjust my velocities, it's going to make things a lot more pleasant to listen to. A really easy way to inject some kind of human feel into stuff is by just adjusting your velocities. Let's go ahead and solo that out. Sounds much more human. It doesn't sound completely human. It sounds a lot more human, but we can add a grid and a groove into this in a second to make it feel a little bit more human if we want to. But this is just a really easy way to kind of make things sound more human pretty quickly. Awesome. Okay, so we got that there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another part on top of that. Let's add this little line on here. Just that one right there. I'm going to duplicate this out a few times. There we go. So it's a 4-bar loop. Now I got that little part there. Now what I want to do, if I went ahead and you added, like let's say you add a whole bunch of stuff into one drum kit and later on you want to separate it out so that you can mix things independently. Well, what I can do here is I can go up here and I can click on this little arrow right here on the track. And I just go over here to the end and let's see, that right there is the bongo shy and dry. So I just find that one here. I can just click on it. There it is right there. And I can right click to duplicate. I'm not using any command keys, Monique. I'm clicking this duplicate button right there to make the clip double its size. I think there is a command for it. If you're down here, command D or just D. Duplicate? No, maybe not. Let's see, is there, hold on, let's see, does it show me if the loop brace is selected. So for example, if I go over here and I say, if I click this and I hit command D, it'll duplicate. Usually duplicate is command D in almost all the DAWs. All right, so what I want to do is I want to get rid of that. I want to get that bongo out of there and have it be on its own little thing. So that's this one right here, I think. Oh, you know what? Oh, this is interesting. I don't know if this is in live. Oh, no. Okay, it's just okay, it's just gray because I played it at some point. Okay, anyway, so this one's here. Let me just play it down here, make sure it's the same one. It is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click on this and I'm gonna go to extract chains. Elon says, can you adjust the semitones on each one? That depends on what you mean by adjust the semitones, Elon. If you mean, can I tune it? Like, so here's this. Oh wait, why is that not? Oh, I know why. It's because this has a reverb in it. Oh, okay, we took some of the stuff out of here. So this may not be the best way to do it. Here, let's do this. Duplicate and put this back over here like that. There we go. So now it has the same sounds. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Oh, that's funny. Interesting, okay. Yeah, so if you want to move the sound up or down on the scale, hold on one second. Let me just finish what I'm doing here. What I'm doing is I'm trying to get that, there we go. I want to get this back in here because, hold on. And we're going to talk about all this here in just a second, what I'm actually doing here. But where's my, there we are. There we go. So what I want to do is I'm going to duplicate this out. Yeah, if you want to keep that, it's actually a little bit annoying there. Dang. To keep all these effects on here. I usually do it a slightly different way because I don't usually need to keep these effects because I'm just making my own clips that don't have all the stuff. But basically that extract chains, what it does is it lets you pull out those notes and so you can separate them out into their own thing. But if you're using all these effects that come with the kit, they're not going to be on there anymore. So because it doesn't duplicate the kit, unfortunately, it just pulls the sound out. So you got to be aware of that right there. So now, to answer your question, Elon, if you want to move the note up and down the scale, I think you may be thinking about something where you can actually play notes on a keyboard. You cannot do that with drum rack. If you want to do that, you'd have to actually just put it into its own simpler instrument and just play the notes on a keyboard like normal. It's because I know there are like MPCs can do that, and then Machine can do that, and probably FL Studio can do that as well. But Ableton Live cannot do it. It's not as standard as you would think for a sampler to be able to do that. It's kind of a special thing that they kind of put in there. But if you wanted to move the sound just to tune this percussion sound. Where's that percussion sound? Here, wait, hold on a second. Which one? There we go. This one here. If I wanted to tune that one, the tuning for this is over here in the controls here, and then here's my transpose right here. Let's put that in tune with the song. There we go. So now it's in tune with the song. Should be. Oh wait, we're not playing it. Hold on a second. Let's play it. There we go. Hear what it sounds like. Yeah, cool. So it's pretty much in tune with the song now. Pull it down in level a little bit, mix it in. Awesome. Cool, I'm gonna make these orange. I'm gonna change the names of these so it says shaker loop. Hey, 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 hey. There we go, and this one as well. This is my bongo. Cool. And I'm gonna go ahead and copy the names down here as well, so I just have these so I know what they're doing. And what is this? This is like a hi-hat loop or something, right? There we go. And this one here is my kick. I call my kicks bass drum for BD. BD, boom. Copy and paste the name here. And this one here, what is this one? Oh yeah, turn you off. Oh, that's also my hi-hat. So let's get rid of that hi-hat as well. So what I'm gonna do in here is we're going to Go over here. Where's my hi-hat? There it is, my closed hi-hat. I'm going to go ahead and right-click and extract the chain, and the chain kind of came out there. Now, let me just show you what I was making all that fuss about before. Here's my side stick. Here's my closed hi-hat. And we see that this one and this one, oh, they are the same. Well, why didn't it sound the same? Interesting. Huh. Well, it did pull it out. I don't know why it took the reverb off it later. So Elon says, another question, after I lay down something in a drum rack, can I add to it, or do I need to add another clip? For example, I lay down the drum and clap, and then I want to add the shakers, and can I just Elon, where have you been the past 10 minutes? That's all I've been talking about. That's literally what I've been talking about the past 10 minutes. You click this button right here. You've been making beats, haven't you? You haven't been paying attention. Right here, click this and it overdubs into the same clip. All right, so I got this closed hi-hat here. Let me go ahead and name this stuff here. Boom, 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 boom. And I guess it did. For some reason, the reverb just didn't carry over before on the other one. There we go. So now I got this in here. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to change this here so it's off the beat. There we go, like that. Cool. Make this a 2-bar loop again. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so where are we with this stuff? Oh, I know where we are. Okay, so let's just take a look at our notes here. Extracting the chains, that's what I just talked about there. Regular quantizing, we did all that stuff. Okay, cool. So now let's say that I want to subgroup mix these drums. Oh, goodness, yeah. You'll watch the video again later because you're missing some good stuff. Yeah, I totally understand. All right, so subgroup mixing. Let's talk about subgroup mixing here for a second with these MIDI parts. We've got all these drums, we've got all this stuff here. Let's go ahead and talk about subgroup mixing so we can get this all so it's mixed together really nice. So in here, we can create, first of all, to subgroup mix in Ableton Live, it's very similar to Pro Tools, but there's a couple of differences. One, there's no aux track, so you have to kind of figure out how to get around there's no aux track, and that's about it really. The main thing that you do is you just make an audio track and treat that as an aux track. So I'm going to Command T to make a new audio track. I'm going to color it orange because all good drums are orange. I'm going to give it a name, drum group. It's really important that you name it. Number 2, audio from, no input. Here, let's put the audio, well, I don't have the audio from here. Let's go ahead and drag this down so I can see what's going on. There we go, audio from, no input. Mine is set for that by default. Rename the track drum group. That's really important. Name the track something that makes sense, something group. So for example, these 2 bells here, I would make a new track and call this one bell group. Like that. Okay, I'm going to delete that so we can come back to that later. And then I just shift click all my drum tracks here. And I go down to where it says audio 2, and any one of them, it doesn't have to be all of them, any one of them, I just click on it and I go drum group. Where do I want to send it to? Drum group. Boom. Now we can see that the monitor button popped up here. I'm going to hit that to in. And now I hit go. And now everything is going through this drum group. All my drums. All my drums are going through the drum group. I'm going to put my bass over here next to my drums. Turn these up. Awesome. Put this in the key of G. There we go. Now, because it was boom in F and now it's in the key of G. I'm going to explain this stuff when we talk about our drum racks and our racks and stuff like that, instrument racks. All right, so now we can hear everything, and if I want to make my drums softer, I can just pull them down. All my drums are subgrouped. Great. I do know how to do beat making in Logic, but I don't actually do it anymore. I don't really love Logic. I know they've like I've been using Logic since well, actually, the very first experience I had with Logic was back in 1997, and I used it for a couple of years. I got really good at it, but Logic in 1997 was super different. Then I used it again in 2003. I bought it in 2003 to kind of see what all the fuss was about. I'd been using Pro Tools for a few years at that point, and then I bought it, and I didn't love it, and then I got it again in 2005 or 6. Apple gave it to me, and I tried it. I didn't love it. But I actually recommend using Ableton Live. It depends on what kind of music you're making. Mass Security. If you're making hip hop, trap, techno, house, modern pop that's like electronic stuff, I recommend using Ableton Live for a lot of that. If you're doing film score stuff, I would say maybe look into Logic or Pro Tools. But yeah, Logic is your OG. Yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a learning curve. But, you know, you can watch these videos. All right, so we got our drum rack here. Let's go ahead and do the bass, the bells as well. So these bells here, I'm gonna make a new track, an audio track. Give it a name, bells group. Make sure my audio from says no input. It does because I set that up as a default. I'm gonna shift click these right here, go down to audio 2 and set these to go to the bells group track I just made, turn the monitor to in. And now, let's go ahead and play these. If I solo my bells group right here, it's basically solo saving everything and vice versa. It solo saves everything. Yeah, film music is generally Pro Tools and Logic. One of the reasons why is because Logic and Pro Tools both can translate to music notation very easily. Logic has it built in, and Pro Tools now owns Sibelius. So it makes it very easy to translate because a lot of film scores, you need to give them to instrumentalists to play eventually, like string players and horn players. So that makes it really easy. Yeah, for you're talking about BX Beats. Are you talking about Ableton Live? Because you can do it with Ableton Live. It's not impossible at all. And I'm sure there are people who do film scores in Ableton Live. But I would say the majority of people are probably doing stuff on Logic and Pro Tools just because of that capability. But there's also going to be people who kind of go back and forth. There's a lot of people who will use Ableton Live for the more electronic elements of things, the more loop-based elements of stuff, because that's what Ableton Live really excels at. Not to say that you can't use Ableton Live for more through-composed stuff, but okay, cool, yeah, Ableton Live. But it's definitely, if you get to the point where you're like, I need to turn this into music notation, then there's a whole bunch of other steps that you have to do, which with Pro Tools and Logic, those are cut out. So, but you can make film scores with anything. You could do it in FL Studio. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. What is Reason dominant in? Dropping the ball. They should have implemented plugins like VSTs like 10 years before they did. And they didn't. They tried to keep everything in their own ecosystem, and they didn't do the VST thing. And it really hurt them because a lot of people start off with Reason. They did, and it's a very cool program, and it did a lot of really cool stuff. But they dropped the ball. So what are they dominant in? I don't know. These days, I have no idea. Maybe people in Sweden use Reason. I don't know. I'm sure somebody can tell me, but let's stay on track here with all this stuff here because I want to take a break, and then come back and talk about instrument racks and stuff like that. So these bells here, I want to show you something here with these bells. We just went ahead and sent these bells into the bell group here, but I'm sending the bells to these plugins to the reverbs over here, and the reverbs are outside of my group. So watch what happens if I turn my group down. Here, let me go ahead and mute my drums and my bass. You can still hear I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down so it's not quite as long. Now, if I turn these down, you can still hear all the effects, and that's because my effects are outside of the group here. And what I need to do is I need to send my effects back into the group here. Okay, so Carl says, what? I've never used anyone who met anyone who used Reason. I mean, there are people who use Reason. I'm sure there's a few. I mean, the company's still around. So, okay, so first of all, I'm going to color code all these. Let's color code them to this purple color. And just because I like to have everything color coded, I'm going to color code these to the same purple color over here. So, or pink, whatever, pink color. This is pink, pinkish. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I can't shift click them. Okay, hold on, let's see what this one is. Oh, that's that purple, okay. So I want them all to be the same color so I know they're all grouped together. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shift click these and I'm gonna see where it says audio 2. I'm gonna send this audio 2 to my bells group. Boom, there we go. And now they're all silent. Okay. And if I turn it down, we're not gonna hear anything because now everything is grouped into this bells group here, which is pretty much how I would recommend setting this stuff up. BXBeat says, do you mean I'm old? I mean, you're not older than me because I've been using, I remember when they were talking about Reason let's just get real here for a second, all right? I remember I owned, so the first thing that Propellerheads made was a program called Recycle that was for, if you wanted to take your samples and chop them up and put them into your samplers, you could use Recycle. So you'd have Recycle on your computer and you'd put your sample into Recycle and you'd chop it up and then you'd save that onto a floppy disk and take that floppy disk and stick it in your sampler and play it back on your sampler. And it was like saved a lot of time for just chopping up a whole bunch of samples all at the same time. That was like 1996, I believe. And then the next thing they made was a program called Rebirth 338, which was a emulation of a 808, a 909, and a 303. And when it came out, all the magazines at the time were talking about, is this the future of music? Are we gonna reach a point when people do music on nothing but a computer? And everybody was super divided because there were a lot of people who were like, no, we'll never reach a point when we only use computers to make music because computers will never sound like synthesizers. And there are other people who were saying, of course they will, what are you talking about? And of course, those were the right people. So it's these arguments, like people argument about Mac versus PC and blah, 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 and this and that and the other. And like, there's going to be a limit to how far we can go with things. No, there's no limits. The only limit is going to be if we blow ourselves up with like a nuclear war or something like that. But I mean, otherwise, we're going to reach a point where we're using the atoms in the world around us as like hard drives, or I don't know what they call it, but they won't be called a hard drive. But I mean, it's gonna be crazy. Let me see. Rondell says, right? Recycle Rebirth, Making Waves. I don't know Making Waves. I don't know what that one is. Anyway, let's get back. Let's stay on target here. Let's stay focused here. So we've got these bell sounds here. They're going into our bell group. Awesome. There's our bass. Make this red because it'll make me more comfortable. It's red. Yeah, there we go. And Ableton is PC as well as Mac. It's both. And it works exactly the same on both machines. It's like, Pro Tools, FL Studio, Cubase, Ableton, Digital Performer. I don't know much about Digital Performer anymore, so that one might be Mac only as well. But basically, only Logic and maybe Digital Performer are Mac only. Everybody else is and Reason also, since we're talking about Reason, is also PC or Mac. Use Reason as an external synth with Cubase in the early aughts. Yes, as an external plugin. Yes, that was a way to use it. So I actually used to own Reason as well because I've been like on top of the stuff for a long time. And the way I used to use Reason was I used to use Reason in conjunction with Ableton Live, because Ableton Live, when it first came out, could not do MIDI programming. Version 1, 2, and 3 were audio only. So what I would do is I would make all my audio stuff in Reason, and I would bring the loops and the audio into Ableton Live, and I would put up loops together and stuff in Ableton Live. The reason why I actually got Ableton Live in the first place was because I was performing at festivals in Japan. I was living in Japan at the time, working for a record label over there, and I was performing live shows and festivals and things like that. And I wanted to be able to take my music on a stage without dragging tons and tons of equipment, because I wanted to be pretty self-sufficient. And Ableton Live had just come out. It was like version 1. It was, 2000 or 2001 or something like that. And I had my studio and all my hardware and stuff, but I was also traveling a lot. So when I was on the train, I would have my laptop on my lap and just be making beats using Reason back then. So, and I would bring it into Ableton Live. So it was pretty cool way to use it, because they were both brand new. They were both very new programs, and computers were just starting to get powerful enough to actually do that kind of stuff. It was pretty neat. All right, so I think we're at the end of what we need to talk about with this. All the stuff is in here. Let's see here. Reminders, MIDI and audio clips act the same way. Launch according to the global quantize. You can only play one at a time per track, and the clip tempo will follow the song tempo. Yep, absolutely. If you want to draw in MIDI notes, if I want to go in here, let's say I want to take all these here. Let me make a new, there we go. Let's say this bass drum line right here, I want to make a new, here, let's duplicate this, and cool. So if I wanted to take this bass drum and I want to pencil in like another bass drum note or something like that, I can hit my B key and I just click where I want it to go in there. Boom. Have I used Maxed with Ableton for live stuff? Yes, absolutely. I've used Max a lot. I've been on the Max for live tip since it first came out. I used to do a lot of workshops for Ableton back about eight to 10 years ago, I guess. I stopped doing them around 10 years ago, or eight years ago or something like that. And I used to do workshops at the Apple stores in Manhattan. And yeah, Max is confusing. I don't actually make my own stuff, but I can show you some Max stuff. We can do that like next week or something like that if you come back, because Max for live is dope. Super, super useful. Anyway, so penciling stuff in. If I want to pencil in my notes, I can go in here, I can just pencil it in, boom, 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 like that. If I want to delete it, I just click on it again. If I want to drag across, see, I can drag across and make all these notes. Or if I hold down, I feel like there's a modifier I can hold down. Yeah, if I hold down Option, it'll keep the notes on the same pitch without moving the pitch. So I can do that right there. I can just click and drag across. If you don't use the B key, you can double click to put a note in. And if you want to make that note longer, watch this. I can double click and I hold it down the second click and I drag it to the right and it makes that a long note. So there's little things like this in live and how we draw the notes in that are really, really useful for stuff. And I recommend that the best way to do all this is just to practice with it. So that's really what we have to do here. Just keep in mind, you gotta practice with this stuff to get better at it. When I've got the notes in here like this, if I hold down my command key, it'll let me adjust my velocity here. And then whatever I adjusted my last velocity to is what my next note will be put in at. See, these will all be put in at 66 because my last velocity was 66. There we go. Okay, so now I hit go. And I've got that little double bass drum thing there. If I can get rid of that note if I want to as well. Okay, cool, awesome. What else are we missing here? So these are ideas, these are things here. Okay, cool. These are just what I just told you right there. Velocity, command, freezing. Okay, so final thing here with this, if I want to freeze any of these tracks and turn them into audio, like let's say my bass line, I want to freeze this and turn it into audio, I can right click on it and I go to freeze track. And there we go, it's going to freeze my scene, and it's also, I think it'll freeze the arrangement as well, but I don't know if I have anything in my arrangement right now. There we go. It's freezing it. La 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 la. Okay, there we go. Cool. And then if I want to turn this into audio, because right now it's just frozen, kind of like how Ableton, Pro Tools or Logic freeze their tracks. The difference is with this is these are individual clips, so I can actually take them and make more of them and stuff like that. It's a little bit different from, it's actually more flexible than Logic or Pro Tools. But if I want to turn this into audio, what I can do is I can right click in here and go to flatten, and it will flatten them. And now, there we go. I've got my bass line here. You can see the sidechain compression on here. That's all the sidechain compression, how it's ducked down and comes back up. What I would actually normally do here, let me undo that because I should, let's undo, there we go. So what I would actually do in real life is this kind of annoys me about Ableton Live. There's not a way to, yeah. So in Logic and Pro Tools, you can commit a track up to a certain plugin, and with Logic you can commit just the instrument without all the effects on there. But with Ableton Live you can't do that. You've got, it just commits, it just freezes everything. I'm sure they're going to change it eventually, but they haven't changed it yet. So what I do is I take all my instruments, my effects that I want to use, and I take them off the track, and I'll right click and freeze and then flatten the track down. Here, hold on, cancel. Here, let's just freeze one of these. There you go, that should go a little bit faster. And I will, oh, what's up? Dempsey, how you doing? 90 minutes, okay, so what I do in here is I freeze and flatten it, and then I'll put my effects back on it over here. I'll just drag these and put them back on, and that way I have my effects on them, but I can mess around with them and stuff like that. Because usually you don't want to freeze and flatten all your effects, you just want to freeze and flatten the synth that's making the sounds. And now I can, like this, there we go, and now I still have control over that filter, over that compressor, so I can still do this kind of stuff. Whereas if I had left the effects on there, I wouldn't have control over this stuff. So that's freeze and flatten. I actually have a shortcut set up. It's my shortcut is F4. So if I wanted to freeze and flatten a track, it just goes like this. I hit F4 and it will freeze it. It's freezing it really slowly. I feel like it should be faster than this. And then it will also flatten it and turn it into audio. Okay, but that's a macro that I have set up through Keyboard Maestro, which is another program that costs like 60 bucks or something. So you don't need it. All right, great. So we have all these things here. I think we are good. Let me go ahead and save this and stop the recording here.